Hey, beautiful souls, welcome. My name is Hannah from Reality Awareness. I got a pretty touchy topic to talk about. My eyes look a little bit, maybe I should have fixed up my makeup more. Been bawling my eyes out, clearing and shifting. But this thing that I want to talk about, all the fires and the Amazon and shit, guys, come on. When are we going to wake the fuck up that AI and the media make humanity focus on something for a reason? I'm a little bit fired up. I'm probably going to lose followers. You're probably going to get triggered. I've got a lot to say and I'm a little bit... Come on, people. Hey, guys. Hello. Okay. Let me share this. Plus, I've been getting the intuitive nudge. And then I had people ask me about this as well, about having a 6-month payment plan for Trust the Intuition for Super Early Bird. So I have listened because I was getting the intuitive nudge. And then people were asking me about it. And I'm like, okay, I'm listening. So I have extended the Super Early Bird plan until tomorrow night, so an extra 24 hours, and there is a 6-month plan now available. So please know that's there. So let me share this because I'm just a little bit fired up about this stuff, guys. So just bear with me. You might get a little bit triggered here, but I got a lot to say about this because I'm like, guys, when are we going to wake the fuck up about media? You want to talk about trusting your intuition? Seriously, everything on this planet, I say this so often, every single thing on this planet first came from somebody's thought. Every book, every piece of technology, everything, right? Everything, yeah? Everything on this planet first came from somebody's thought. Now, with everything, in technology, in advertising, do you know, people spend, $1 million a day on Facebook advertising. There's people out there that do that. Did you guys know that? All these platforms, the news, most of us are oh, spiritual and you know what, guys, I don't watch the news anymore because it's so negative, but I'm on Facebook all the time. And yes, it's so important to attune your feed and what you're listening to all the time, 100%, right? It's so important. However, there's all these things, and all of you guys saw this, last year when all that GDPR came in and all this stuff, yeah, it was really, really big. Everyone's oh, our privacy, and it's kind of well, by the time everyone realizes, by the time the public is told about shit, we're out the door, right? We're out the window with that stuff. And it's just so eye-opening to realize that, there's so much stuff. And whilst it's really important that we're okay, yes, let's save the Amazon, but it's a bit like our privacy. It's the fires are burning, guys. It's a little bit too late, in a way, right? And this is where, people say it's kind of it's on fire. Everybody's talking about it's on fire. Number one, what the fuck are we focusing on? We're focusing on fire. Does anybody know that half of Serbia and all that northern the Arctic is fucking on fire? Does anybody know that? Does anybody know that was a massive fire off the coast here as well, and half the island burnt down? Did anybody talk about that too? It's common, guys. Be conscious. Be so fucking conscious that when everybody is talking on about something and focusing on something, number one, there's so much energy going onto it. Number two, why are we all of a sudden focusing on it? And if there's a big thing about it, what else is going on in the world that they don't want us to know about? What else is going on in the world that they're not wanting attention on, so they're going to draw all this attention to this? Because the collective conscious will focus on it, right? Everyone's oh, fuck the Amazon. Does everybody know that this has been happening for years? Yes, it might be one of the biggest ones, perhaps. But in that sense, it's kind of so what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? Now, it's so interesting to me that this comes out after all the sex scandals come out. Now, number one, we are in Sacral Chakra Week, right? We are in Sacral Chakra Week and we're heading into Base Chakra Week. We've just been in Solar Plexus Week where all these sex scandals and all this stuff has been coming out, and then people get knocked off and all this sort of stuff, right? In the Solar Plexus, right? Taking our power back. And now all of a sudden, all the fires are coming to our attention in our sacral chakra, in our ovaries, where the part of like, all I could hear is like raping the planet, raping the planet, raping the planet, raping the planet. It's like, yeah, Hannah, like this is what's caused it. And it's like, is it? Is it really? And what about that whole reality that everything outside of ourselves is a reflection about what's going on in here? Everybody's bringing all this attention and energy to the Amazon. Yes. Important. Yes, let's pray. Let's pray for rain instead of talking about fire and posting about fire, and everyone's got big words about fire, 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 fire all over the planet. Yeah, it's a reality that's happening, of course. How do we shift our focus into moving into what's really going on? When we really understand the concept of our reality and we really believe that everything outside of ourselves is a reflection about what's inside of ourselves, if that fire is like burning a fire within you about, oh my God, we have to save it. It's like, can we save ourselves? Where in your life are you not paying attention to the fires burning in your own life and you're turning a blind eye to it until it becomes a raging bushfire that you can't control? Until there's shit going on in your life that you actually have to face. Until you get burnt. If we see that the reflection about what's going on in our forest is our own sacred forests, within our heart, within our body, within our sacral. Like the sacral chakra is where we are nourished, is where we fed. I talked about this the other day, right? It's our first port of call. It's where we receive oxygen on the planet. Now, if all our quote unquote fires are burning down the trees, which are the lungs of the planet and the oxygen, how else can we breathe? Please give me some examples of how else we can breathe, yeah? I know I'm a little bit fired up on this live stream, but I'm like, people, like, can we please understand that it's more, it is so much more. And it's like, what people are seeing, like, is like a tiny majority about what's going on. Like, there's wildfires in the Arctic. Like, is anybody praying for those? Like, is anybody praying for, like, the fires up in, like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's more. And it's the same with the shootings. When there's a shootings, like, yes, it's important. We need to pray for the families and all that jazz. But when there's so much attention in the media being brought to an event, why? We have to ask ourselves why. When advertising, you can pay for anything to get in front of people. Where AI is always listening. You guys know it all the time. You're like, oh, Siri's listening all the time. Like, hey, Siri. Oh, it's not going to do it now. The one time if I can try and do it. As soon as like Messenger's listening all the time, like, yes, you can turn off privacy settings and all that jazz, but by the end of the time the public finds out, it's too late. So when we talk about our reflection of our sacral and taking our power back, and that our forests are the sacred bushes of our earth, right? Yeah, fear. Yep. It's this space, like people were so focused on out there and what's going on out there. It's like, do they even look and take radical responsibility about everything that's going on in their own life? Because a lot of people are willing to help all the people on the planet, but they're not willing to help themselves. And they're missing like the most important part of the game. If we can't help ourselves on every single level, how are we supposed to make change in the world? People are like, oh yeah, I'm making change, and it's kind of like you might be dying inside. Like, is that really change? If you're a reflection of out there, but this is dying inside. Creating fear on a mass scale, yeah. Yep, and what for? You have to ask yourself these questions, people. This is why I'm always saying, like, trust your intuition. It's like, yes, pray for the Amazon. Like, but what about praying for the rest of the world? What about praying for waking up the consciousness of humanity so that this stuff doesn't even happen in the first place? Like, we're focusing on the problem right now, right? We're focusing on the problem. Like, praying to help and praying to shift the focus, maybe. Like, if everybody was posting about rain, perhaps. But everyone's posting about fire. If we really deeply understand the concept of our energy and whatever we're focusing on, it doesn't matter if we're praying for rain for the Amazon that's on fire. What is the last thing that was on that sentence? It's still fire. is like allowing ourselves to deeply trust what is right for you, right? It's kind of like whatever we're focusing on in our life brings that to our attention. Yes, it's brought to an attention a fire. So what about the raging bushfires in everybody's life? What does a fire represent? In emotions, right? Let me know. What does fire in the emotional scale, what would fire represent? Let me know. Yep, creating fear on a mass scale, control, AI, any advertising, any media. It's kind of like so many people are like, I don't watch the news, it's so negative, but I'm glued to Facebook. It's like, yeah, the government's put in like $1 million a day into Facebook advertising. Like, it's huge, right? People are like, oh, like I'm like, I hope my page doesn't get shut down. So everyone that's on realityawareness.com, you can like contact me there. There's like groups outside of Facebook. Trust me, right? Got that covered. Just saying. Like pretty, like speaking pretty controversial here in a way. Anger, yes, thank you very much. Fire represents anger. If it's an emotion, it's anger, yes. And there can be positive, yeah, is moving into action. It is action, but it's mainly anger, yeah? Burning rage of fucking anger, right? Inside. Now, we've just taken back our power, realizing and understanding that there's been all this sexual abuse, that, oh my God, like, and so when we look at sexual abuse, people's power have been taken away, okay? Now, when we look at that, what then fires up is anger. Like, that is not okay. Like, and if we look at what's going on a collective scale right now, and I'm covered in goosebumps, it's like this, like, sexual abuse. Our power's been taken away. Solar plexus, we're taking our power back. But then this rage of anger fires up. Like, how dare you? And we've dropped into the sacral, where the ovaries are, the basis of creation, where the seed comes in and we become one, right? Where that fire and rage in your belly, right? You're either in contentment or you're in rage and anger and fear. Like, it's like all these things, right? It all sits in our womb, right? And so with this fire raging, it's kind of like, you know, like I was only speaking to a client about this morning. I'm like, there is like, the society is so angry and taking all these pills to like fix themselves and nothing's working. And I'm like, if everybody would just have a big old cry, and you know, so many people are angry on the planet because they're so like covering up all their hurt and sadness. Like, they just feel so sad. Like, underneath all anger is sadness, right? So as we're dropping down through the chakras and we're like taking back our power, this like, you know, sacral chakra is like starting to like, you know, and when we look at it, like, what is the sacral chakra? Like, if all the chakras, like, you know, when we look at like, we talk about earth being the mother, right? And the earth is the, you know, the earth mother, and the mother is like got the belly, but it's the earth, you know what I mean? I'm still covered in goosebumps, right? And we look at the womb of the earth. Like, remember we did that global live healing, like, when was it? Back in, I don't know, end of April or something, I don't remember at this minute in time, in Africa, right? And it tapped into Africa and the womb. Remember, it was like, it just like, oh, this is like cleaning out the womb of like, you know, all the bloodshed and everything. It was like, that's enough bloodshed now. Let's like, you know, clean it out. And it's kind of like this burning rage across everything. Like, it's not just in the Amazon that the fires are. Like, do you know what I mean? So there's been a lot about elite sexual abuse. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, sorry. So Tammy says, I feel this may be on a collective too. I don't know if this relates to this. Yes, yeah, exactly, right? Hey guys, I'm not purposely ignoring you. I'm like, I'm fired up with all the fire, right? So action, yet Kylie says rebirth, yet fear of change and huge changes. Yes, the anger. Anger is a protection, right? Anger is a protection. And I'm just looking at my eyes. My eyes are so red, and I'm like, I probably should have like had a shower and redone my makeup completely, because I've been bawling my eyes out of my mentor, but I'm like, I know this fire rage up. I like got to talk about this, because when we're like talking about, okay, when we talk about trust our intuition, when we talk about changing the world, nobody likes change because it's so scary. It is so scary, right? It is so damn scary. Change is scary. Everyone, why is change scary? Because it changes our reality, and our ego human self feels safe in what we have, right? Change that and just like, right? Relationship breakup, move house, career change, whatever it is, like change, we feel scared. Yeah. And so when we go through this change, like nobody wants change. And that's why people, like, when there is changes, people freak out. And then they go into fear. And then they go into rage and anger because they don't want change, right? All this stuff happens. But what's going on underneath is they just feel really scared, like a small scared child in a room, right? And usually there's a lot of tears because they don't want to let go of their reality. Like, as I say in Trust Intuition, any change will trigger the grief cycle. It will trigger the grief cycle. Yeah. And if we're not conscious about working through those emotions, they get stuck and then they get buried because society is taught that crying is not okay. And then when we bury and we're in the sacral, like all the grief is like coming up. And what's all the rage and the fire? It's like this thing around, there's so much grief in the planet. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, they say that the earth has been crying, crying out for help. People have been crying out for help. Like, we look at the reflection. It's like, guys, look at the internal raging fire within yourself. Where have you had your power taken away? Where have you felt raped, right? Not even physically, like energetically. Like, where have you had that? Where have you stood up for your truth and spoken your truth and somebody has like said, no, that's not okay, and like totally shut you down? Like, where is that internal rage that's trying to come out? Like, the Mother Earth maybe has been trying to speak to us and it's like everything is on fire. But however, creation has this incredible way of surviving. Like, creation is born for survival. It is born for survival. That's why people don't like change, because it's like, I'm going to die if I change, right? People don't like change because the ego thinks they're going to die. Like, creation is born for survival. Like, seeds have a coating on them so that when a bird swallows them, it doesn't sprout and then, it gets able to travel through to another place. And then as soon as the rain hits it, then it sprouts. Like, so that creation of that plant won't die. But people are really worried about it and how is it going to come back? Or I don't know, are people even thinking about that? Are people even thinking about the changes we need to take? Or are people just still focused on the fire? Like, are we focusing on the problem still? Or are we focusing on the solution? And what about the rest of the world? And why is the rest of the world on fire too? Did anyone think about that? Has anyone considered why the rest of the world is on fire as well? Look out for base chakra week. Did you know how I said to you guys, I'm like, yeah, like beginning of September, 3rd, 4th, 5th, like that week, world changes. Like, there's more coming. There is more coming. If you can't feel it, there's more coming. Okay, let's see here. So I was just going to have a look here. Like, yes, let's have it. So what? Or Amazon has come up. South America, I guess, is what we want to put. Hey. What chakra is the South America? Is South America, because I put what chakra is the Amazon and all these healing books come up on Amazon. Okay. Chakras, earth ley lines. Let's have a look. So as we like look at this, yeah, as we really look at all these, it's, guess what? Guess what chakra the Amazon is? It's sacral. On that chart, anyway. When you Google it and you know how there's a chart where some people have said that, it's the sacral. It's the second chakra, sexual, late Titicaca is where it is. So technically not right in the center, but it's the sacral. Yep. All the clearing out. The grief, that like, And I know people are freaking out because they're like, it's so sacred. And I'm like, yeah. And sacred never dies. Sacred is not something outside of you. You want to talk about sacral chakra? Filling ourselves up with something outside of ourselves, right? And when I was talking about before, it was kind of like, what is that? That, like there's no place on earth that is outside of you that will feel like home. The reconnection to home, it lays within your soul. The reconnection to your home lays within your heart. The reconnection to your home lays within feeling and your sacral. If you're full of tears, if you're full of anger, if you're full of any emotion and you haven't dealt with anything from your past, especially where feeling squashed or your power's been taken away or you feel abandoned or anything like that, if you haven't felt the heart and the grief, right? The grief is in the sacral. Remember I said this the other day, on the intestines, it lives in your large intestine. Yeah, we hold it in that space. And right now, there's a raging fire to get rid of it. A fire comes through and it totally wipes everything out, right? In Australia here, we need bushfires for survival. Our Australian bush thrives on bushfires. The animals somehow keep living. right? The seeds, there's certain seeds in Australia, in the bushfires, that need them to break up, that need them to break open, that need that cracking open of the heat. Like, that is like a survival thing. Plus the fact that fire is one of the elements of our earth. There's earth, there's air, there's fire, there's water and spirit. It is an element of our planet. So when there's so much attention being brought to a particular thing through media, whether it's the TV, whether it's the radio, whether it's the social media, it's like, always ask yourself, what else is going on in the world that they're not showing me? What else do I need to know about that I'm not being told right now? Right? If it really pulls on your heartstrings, whether it's a shooting, whether it's a fire, whether it's some other like natural disaster, whether it's something else, ask yourself, why is that pulling me so strongly? Because there's usually an aspect of like the grief or pulling up in your reality around what that is for you, right? It's kind of like there's a reflection of that feeling, that tone of energy that is in you that has not yet been healed yet. And it is bringing your attention to work on healing that aspect. Because when you do, that's when we can heal that. If the fires are really like firing you up, right? And there's stuff going on and you're like, oh my God, we've got to do something about it. It's like, ask yourself, where are the fires burning in my own life that I'm not tending to? What am I turning a blind eye to in my life that will set me on fire if I don't tend to it? What have I turned myself away from? That a fire has to rage for me to pay attention to it. Yeah? Mother Earth can cleanse in unpleasant ways, but life always finds a way. Oh, I love that. So that. It is so that, right? Hey, Nita. Hey, Laurie. Eucalyptus seeds can't grow without burning. Yes, see? Exactly, right? So it's like, yeah, feeling it. We are going to be tested. Yeah, and this is the thing, right? And this is what's so important. It's like, be so conscious that when the media is bringing your attention, when everyone it jumps on the bandwagon because everyone's like, so pulled up in everyone else's energy, it's like, and this is why I'm like, clear energy, know how to trust intuition, work on yourself. Like, what is it bringing to your attention in your own life? Like, how does that reflect back in your own life? Like, why are you having such a strong reaction to it? And what else is going in the world that they're not showing us, right? As we hit, so what are we now? So next week we're stepping into, oh, look at that. So as we move into base chakra next week, it's the end of August, and in September we walk into integration, like literally on the 4th and 5th of September, which is what I just said, those dates, right? It is integration. It is integration and like integration week of the chakra journey we've been on. It's almost like, is it getting stronger each time we do them or something? And integration week is where whatever needs most attention will be in your reality. Integration week also is about taking it out of just learning about it and going, oh yeah, to actually implementing it into action. Yeah? Okay, so Michelle says, I get so upset when they cut down trees on the coast. Not sure why. Yeah, because so I used to like be rampant. Like, I always remember like when I was in like, I would have been in year 9, and like I would always go for walks after school and go to the shop and buy heaps of lollies and fill myself with sugar. And like there was this beautiful bushland that I'd always go to. And one day I'd gone there and like they'd knocked all the trees down and they had all the pegs like marking out where they'd do houses. You know how they put like the pegs down and they put all the things across and whatever. And I was just like, I just lost my shit. I went around and I ripped out all the pegs and all the markers and everything. And I was distraught. I was like, what the hell? And that's always stuck with me. I'm like, what the hell? Like, why did that affect me so much apart from the fact that they've cut trees down? Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, and what I've realized over the years is that when we are feeling powerless, when we're feeling powerless to do something about what we're seeing in the world, so i.e. forests getting cut down, wildfires, like everybody prays, like, yeah, okay, cool, praying works, cool, yes, a collective meditation works. But then when, like, there's no more media about it, like, are we just forgetting about it? Like, are we like, what is the point of, like, do you know what I mean? Like, are we really implementing change? Or is that when there's a disaster, then everybody makes a change. And only for the disaster, and then social media media doesn't show it anymore and doesn't pay for advertising anymore because they want us to focus on something else now, and put all our money and energy into that, because wherever the energy and the collective gets focused energy on, there's more power. Yeah. And so when we can recognize that and notice what fires us up. Yeah, notice what fires us up. This is part of gestating your life purpose. This is the sacral chakra, right? So when we are conscious that whatever we're being fed, remember, we're being fed, whatever it is, that port of call is our sacral. It's the first port of call. It's the nourishment. We're plugging into something. Yeah, we're literally, I was going to grab my plugs, but they're plugged in. We're literally plugging in. We're plugging our devices in. Yeah, we're plugging them in all the time because we don't want them to go flat. There's even portable chargers now, so we're never offline. There's like more technology going out everywhere. So we've got like heaps of satellites so we can have further, so we're always plugged in. We're always plugged in. Sacral chakra, what are you plugging into? Remember, I said the other day, we're plugging in our belly button. Our umbilical cord was the first thing we're plugging into. What are you plugged into? You plugged into something else, or you plugged into source? Are you trusting your own intuition, or are you trusting what the media says? Right? The basis of your life purpose is being birthed right now by what is like pulling up in your awareness. When there's things like the trees, like I said there, it's like, what I realized is like I felt powerless. I was so fired up and heard about it, but I'm powerless. Literally, how am I supposed to stop the machines, the real estate people, or, the building people? You know what I mean? Ultimately, what am I supposed to do? And this is why I'm really passionate about my work, because awakening the consciousness of humanity, it might take a little while in a sense of there's still shit going on, but I don't get so fired up anymore. What I get fired up in is it's turning that fuel. So someone said it on the live stream here, it's what is fire in an emotion? Yeah, it is definitely anger. It is also action. It is action. So taking that burning rage, asking yourself why, and asking yourself what the solution is, not for the moment. And yes, we can send a loving prayer and we can see the rain falling down and that's what we should be doing. However, it's what else do we do? Long term, what is it that you are being called to do in your life purpose, in supporting humanity to wake up, right? Long term. That's why all my fuel and my passion and my fire comes on to share this sort of a message, and then go in and go back to where I'm being called to create my courses, my books, serve people so that I can help awaken the consciousness of humanity, because I know that by helping people heal their pain, their hurt, letting them have a big cry, grieve, then they are clear to trust their own intuition to move forward onto their purpose, which will be something along the lines of helping humanity, because we all have that soul purpose. Every single person on the planet has a soul calling to bring us all back together. At the core of it, we do. And every single person has a unique part in that. There's 7 billion people. There's 7 billion unique parts that will all come back together in synchronicity, in symbiosis, in harmony, because that is the way nature designed us. However, we're so clouded by all these things and other people's judgments, and we forget that we're big balls of energy that, can be heavily influenced, because we've got a brain and a human body. And so we're growing up and we're feel all this stuff, and then we've got all these chemicals and stuff that are shutting us down, and there's so many factors, right? It's where do I start, right? So overwhelming. The first place to start is become conscious of your energy and start to heal and be conscious of what your energy is and what somebody else's energy is. I always say it all the time. I'm clear your energy, clear your energy, clear your energy, clear your energy. Why? Because you then become conscious of what your energy is and somebody else's energy is. And what this does, it becomes stronger. And then so something when you see on Facebook, you're oh yeah, and you get pulled in, you're all of a sudden you're oh, and you realize the separation of energy instead of being this big clouded mess, and you're just going along the day and you're oh, and you get pulled in, and then we're going off here, because wherever there's a lot of energy, it's like a river, it can flow and direct and go wherever. If you're not conscious of separating yourself from everybody else in the world, and it's not we're detaching and go away and leave me alone, it's we're conscious of our energy and everybody else's. It is so important, right? Yes, I always say to them, we breathe trees. Okay, let me see what's going on here. All these comments. Sorry, guys. Okay. So Benjamin says, why does the media want to invoke fear into the world? I ask myself all the time. Yeah, power and control. At the end of the day, it's power and control. That's it. If everybody was living a freedom life, like I believe there should be rules, like road rules, for example. Like some countries that don't have road rules, I'm like, how do they do that? But they manage, right? So at the end of the day, I'm like, rules are made by who, for what, for safety? Yeah, I get it, right? There's rules, there's boundaries. But when people are respectful and have their own heart open and are not full of anger and rage and grief that they're so scared to even share, let alone pretend, like, you know what I mean? Like that's where the brave faces come on. And, you know, like I even heard this morning, like there was, you know, like this happy-go-lucky person who was like always the life of the party, like, you know, committed suicide and everyone was shocked. And I'm like, yeah, they're usually like Robin Williams is a prime example, right? It's like when we can tap in and be comfortable and teach society as a whole, starting by one person at a time, that it's okay to cry, our whole world is going to shift. Now, if everybody was living a life of freedom, the ones with money, you know, big corporations on the planet would not feel like they are in control, or they feel like they would lose that power, right? They would lose that space of being able to have that, you know, influence over the masses and stay at the top, basically. So when we look at coming out of the head and into the heart, right? And what's happening is, you know, on the planet, you know how I always say like, oh, the subconscious is 90% and the conscious is 10%. Well, actually, recently I was like, that doesn't feel right anymore because we're actually shifting. And then someone said it's actually 33% now. And I was like, oh, that feels good, right? We're starting to become conscious of this stuff. So soon it's going to shift and they're not even going to be aware of how that happens, right? Because consciousness, number one, is not logic, and it won't shift by, you know, having that space of like control. Like it just like intuition, or the flow always finds a way. Creation always finds a way, right? With fear, they have more control. Stay in control, keep us dizzy, giving away our power. Yes, I can't have my power. And the best way to not give them your power is to stay connected to your own power, basically. Yep, we need to come together. Exactly. And we can only do that genuinely, energetically genuinely, when we've reconnected to ourselves. It's so true what they say, you know, we can only love somebody as much as we love ourselves. We can only feel love from somebody, and somebody can only give love as much as they love themselves. Yeah? Yes, I always say to them, we breathe the trees. Yes. Self-responsibility. Yes, responsibility is divine step number 8 in the 12 divine steps to awakening your life purpose, which is it's 8 people on the live stream right now. Okay, I felt called to pull a druid card, seeing as though all the trees are going through an intense regeneration process right now, out of the Celtic Tree Oracle, right, is the Lewis Rowan. I need to read this because these are the cards still new. And sorry, what's coming to mind is, you know, and that's the thing, like if people, like I don't think in my feed anymore because I've like cleared it out so much. People who share, what is it? Like animal cruelty stuff and all of that. Like if I see anybody sharing them, I'll just unfriend them. And like, guys, like what are we focusing on here? Like, and I understand people are like, oh, but we need to tell the world. I'm like, people fucking know about that shit, but they don't care. They don't care. Or they would be doing something about it. And there are people out there doing something about it. Majority, oh, that's sad. Oh, I just go cook my steak now. Like, they don't care or whatever, right? Now, I know this sounds so heartless, right? But the reality is that when we're able to have that heart feeling and know what to do about it, right? A lot of people don't do anything on the planet because they simply feel powerless about what to do. They don't know what to do. That's the reality about it. And it's like when we can bring that conscious awareness in, when we can trust our intuition, there is an infinite possibilities of solutions in every single problem on the planet. Like when there's a problem, look for the solution. Look for the solution, not in the short term. What about the long term? Right? It is so important. Hey guys. So when, you know, my thing has always been like, you know, like I'd rather share animals, like especially endangered animals even, like flush in their habitat, like with the flush forest all around it, like being so flush, and, you know, like healthy animals walking in the wild, like, you know, healthy photos of healthy lush rainforest. And everybody should be sharing that, because everybody is looking at that, everybody's energy is going onto that. It's not that we're in like delusional reality about the reality of what's going on. We're taking our power back, being so conscious and taking divine responsibility of our energy and our power about what we're focusing on in our reality. I've always dreamt of having like a place where there's a big meditation room, and in that room there is technology with like earphones and a big screen, and everyone goes and sits in front of a screen or a big screen or however it is, right? And on there is like pictures of lush rainforests around the world in pristine, beautiful condition. And the beautiful music that, you know, changes our state to come into that deeper state. And we're focusing on and putting energy on this rather than what other people are sharing or all that bad stuff. Because even though there's an awareness on it, that's also all the energy on the bad stuff. Where's the energy on the good stuff? Because when we move our focus to there, this is basis of our life purpose. What are you being guided to do that will shift that long term? What is the consciousness needed for people to take action? So the fires and the deforestation, let's even forget about the fires right now. For people to take conscious responsibility and action in an everyday habitual life pattern, there needs to be some level of consciousness shift within them to actually even have that behavioral change. Because people can go, oh, that's so sad. But then they're just going to go back to their normal day-to-day life, and then they're going to see something else on Facebook and then go, oh, that's sad, and they keep going. There must be a behavioral shift internally that changes people, and people don't usually want to do that sort of a work to shift. Some people do, of course, but there's a lot that don't, right? There's the masses that just, they don't know how. They think it's bad, wrong, not allowed to cry, not allowed to show emotion, all this stuff, right? Deep change. Are there other forces we are not aware of trying to control us? Do you know what? Anything and anyone can control you if you think so. If you are believing that someone or something is controlling your life, or some outside force or something is controlling your reality, you're going to find all these things controlling your reality. You will, right? So when you have an awareness that there's all this stuff going on in the government, and there's all this stuff going on here and here and here, and there's all these things going on. Of course there is, right? When you are not in fear about them, they don't have control over you. When we take back our power and we move into the direction of what we're being guided to do with our life purpose, that is, we'll have a basis of something to shift and awaken humanity, even if it's one person at a time. Because do you guys know like the 100th monkey syndrome? Like, do you guys know about that? Like, the more of us that are focusing on the solution and on our life purpose about what we're being guided to do. Like, I used to be so like, you know, like you would have heard me talk on the other day on the sacral chakra, and we dropped into all that parenting stuff, right? And when we look at that, like, I used to get so fired out, like, before I was online, and like anything in the, like, anyone in the street, even my spirituality stuff, anyone in the street, I'd be like running up to them and telling them all this stuff, and I'm like, I've got the solution to everything, and I'm like telling them all this shit, right? And people, obviously, I lost a lot of friends, people look like I'm lunatic and all this sort of stuff, right? Now, when I had my means and my outlet to share my purpose with the world, to actually put my crazy ideas and healing techniques into something that I know can support and shift people, that need to like go and tell the world and go tell everybody, like, you know, like everything, like, it's like, it's changed. Because all of a sudden I've got a channel for my divine purpose and the ideas and the solutions that are coming through. I've got a channel and an outlet to create that, to support humanity to shift. Right? When we don't have that, we'll find usually we're like, we get fired up and we get angry about things, and we're like, like, what do we do about that? Because we get fired up because we feel powerless. We feel powerless most of the time. We don't know what to do most of the time, right? Anything can control you if you think it will. So look at this, hey? Oh, this is a tree. So this is from the Celtic tree oracle. I thought so fitting. Look at that beautiful, healthy, lush tree, huh? So the Lewis Rowan, this is protection, intuition, discrimination, spiritual strength, ecstasy, astral travel, connection with the mystery, and magic. So interesting, right? Rowan offers you protection. This may refer to protection from actual enemies or simply from people or situations you do not trust. How interesting, considering what we're just talking about. Lewis Rowan will make you aware of others' manipulations or power plays. Kind of like confirmation of everything I've just been talking about on this live stream. And also may alert you to your own manipulations. How are you also manipulating others? Where are you not taking action in your life? Where are you? Yeah, this is so important. She asks you to keep your wits about you and allow you to discriminate between what is good for you and what is not. Rowan, oh, this is so amazing. Rowan strengthens your intuition, especially in business ventures or new relationships, including the relationship with yourself, by the way. If you receive this card in relation to such situations, heed her warning. Things may not be what they appear to be. Wow, this is like confirming everything I've just said, right? Oh my gosh. Of course. She provides the spiritual strength to help you turn away from anything that threatens your serenity and your purpose. Oh my God, like this is going to make me cry. What a card, right? Rowan also asks you to connect to ecstasy, not the tablets, guys. Joy. Joy sits in our sacral chakra. Like our sacral chakra is the seat of our joy, right? It's the seat of our emotions too. Like I said, it holds the grief. Yes, we feel things in our heart, but it's the seat of our, like where we hold the emotions. It's our being that anchors into that space. Connect to the ecstasy, not the fear. This is like what it says. Rowan also asks you to connect to ecstasy. Make time for creative endeavors and quiet time. This is where we birth our dreams, guys. This is our sacral chakra. This is where we gestate our dreams. Yeah, this is where it all happens. Yeah, we become clear of what sustains us, what nourishes us, and what doesn't. And then we set to work on doing our purpose work and creating what we're being called to do. Just like a pregnant mother grows a baby, we're growing our purpose in our womb, right? Take guided journeys. Oh my goodness. Take guided, this is like seriously what it says in here, right? Take guided journeys to communicate with your totem animals and spirit helpers. Include music, dance, ritual, ceremony in your life. Pay attention to your dreams. Look for messages in synchronicities. Read inspiring books or take a class that reconnects you to spirit. Oh my gosh. Cultivate the relationship with the divine. Lewis Rowan assures you that bliss and ecstasy are your birthright. Open up to the magic and the mystery all around you. You may not be able to see the unseen realm, but you can communicate with it. The result is regeneration and joy. Regeneration and joy. What have I been talking about, right? Rowan asks you to mother yourself as well. She asks you to weed out thoughts, emotions, and actions that do not reflect your higher self. This couldn't be a more perfect card. This is like taking the garbage out on a daily basis and is especially important when something powerful needs to be resolved. Can there be like any more confirmation about what I've just shared on this live stream? Like, oh my goodness. Amazing. She reminds you that you are a magnificent spiritual god or goddess. That by being intentional, you can take responsibility for everything that you create. With love and forgiveness, you can be assured that you are creating the very best. Oh my gosh. I just this is blowing my mind. Seriously. Oh, Nita says, thank you, that makes sense. Living in South Africa and thousands of people are immigrating daily. Everyone is just giving into the fear. It's so sad. Yes. The skilled professionals are leaving. Anything I can do to change this? What sort of influence do you have there? The skilled professionals are leaving. Yeah, that fear. It's rampant, isn't it? Okay, so what can you do to change this? Meditate, connect to the divine about what your specific purpose is around that. Yeah, because you're there for a reason. It's bringing deep awareness, is having an emotional reaction for you, which is probably a lot of the fear that you're, the sadness that you're feeling about the people who think they have to leave, right? So meditate on what your purpose is. And it might not be like, you know, you might get like, amazing, big idea. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to save the whole of Africa. Like it might seem really irrelevant. Yeah, whatever you get guided to do, it might have, you might be like, logically, you'd be like, oh, how is that supposed to change? Like, do you know what I mean? And the thing about trusting intuition is that number one, we're never showing the big picture because we probably won't do it. Number two is that every tiny little bit of intuition you get, when you take that action step, the next piece will come through, and it won't come through until you've taken the action steps, so turning that fire into passion and into action, right? And that step that you take, and then the next step comes through, you probably wouldn't have seen the whole picture. Like, you would be like, oh, well, that makes sense, right? And the thing about trusting intuition is taking the step before you get the confirmation, right? So I'd be doing that, yeah? Because there's a reason why you're there and feeling that for sure. Yeah, the synchronicities are coming in like crazy. I know, that is so amazing, right? Like, oh, thank you, Celtic Tree Oracle. Talk about like, oh my goodness, on point. Talk about on point. And I just looked at the bottom card. It's the Hawthorn. I don't know how to pronounce that. I run a blog and promoting local travel. I need to do more. I do it as I love it. Yes, do it. And yeah, and ask what else you're being guided to do. Yeah, and it might still just be the same thing and amping that up, but just trust. Yeah, tune in and trust and ask. Oh my goodness. Are you kidding me? The card totally hit hard. I know, I've been drawing a similar card from my Avalon deck, the protection card. So this one, it's like, this is the bottom card of the deck. I usually look at it as an overlying message. Hawthorn asks you to spend some sacred time in preparation for a meaningful birth experience. You are encouraged to clean up your act. Oh, people, let go of what no longer serves you and treat your body, mind, and soul with sacred respect. When everybody on earth is respecting their own bodies, their health, their mind, then they will care about the planet. The people who litter, the people who throw rubbish on the ground when there's a bin fucking right there, and people like us that go and pick it up and get fuming about it, right? If that person had a conscious awareness of themselves, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't. They just wouldn't. They'd do it and they'd have a lot of guilt and they'd go and pick it up. When people become conscious of themselves, of their reality, that's when people will start to shift. That's when people won't throw rubbish on the ground. That's when people will become aware of themselves and have an awareness of their fucking environment and like, oh my God, I've got to stop doing that. Until people clean up their own act, the earth will then be clean. I mean, of course, things can happen and miracles can happen, but when we look at the reality of it, when people become conscious of themselves, that is when they will start picking up the rubbish. That's when they won't throw the rubbish on the ground in the first place. So let go of what no longer serves you and treat your body, mind, and soul with sacred respect. This is a time for spring cleaning, which not only applies to your home and work environment and your garden, but also your inner environment. Take time to put everything in order. Clean out your closet, clean your house, clean up your files on your computer, clean up and let go of which no longer has meaning for you or no longer in use. Have a garage sale. Donate unwanted things to charity. Let go of old stories that are painful. It says forgive, and you know what I say about forgiveness. You're encouraged to set aside quiet time and go within. Clean out old and unnecessary thought patterns, unhelpful emotional patterns, and let them go. You may be ready to let go of a behavioral rut or habit. Like I said, guys, oh, look what it says. You may be asked to protect your inner truth from something outside of you. This is what I'm talking about, right? Seriously, like, people will stop throwing rubbish on the ground when they come into conscious awareness of themselves and their body and their life. Like, they just will. They just will. Virgo season is organized. Yes. We're coming into that, right? So hold on to your hats, guys, because that first week of September, and it's kind of like, remember, whatever you're being shown or you just happen to see on social media, yes, it's for a reason. But then also notice if it goes on for days and you're like, what else is happening in the world here that we're not seeing? what else is going on that people are, being diverted attention to all of this, right? It's so important to have an awareness on the whole picture. Just like our emotions, just to notice all of them, to feel all of them, to be conscious of them all, but to not get stuck in that one space. Movement, flow, fire, turn that into passion, turn that into action. Ask yourself, what is the passion from this? There might be sadness, there might be a raging anger of emotions, and underneath there's a well of grief that you have not dealt with, right? And when we do that, then we can shift, right, the feeling and move that into passion and into action about your life purpose. Because if you've had a really strong emotional reaction to what's going on and I'm going to save the world and meditate and pray for it, yeah, that's important, guys, but what about next week when they don't show anything on social media? Is anyone even going to fucking think about the Amazon? Probably not, because there'll be something else that they're showing us. It's so important to tune into your intuition and ask yourself what your purpose is and what you're being guided to do for humanity for long term. How and what are you being guided to do to bring conscious awareness to people's hearts, to people's feelings, to bring back the reality that it's okay to feel, to have a conscious awareness of things in their life? Everybody will have a basis in awakening the consciousness in some level, shape, or form. The gift and the key is to unlocking what your unique purpose is. Yeah? Our earth works on a delicate balance, right? And sometimes it might feel like things are out of balance. But when you look at the reality of how nature works, it's all perfect. Nature has a way. Creation has a way of surviving. It is built into the system. It is. Amber says, agree with you. Diverting the attention when healing starts from within. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Okay. I'm jumping in my Trust Intuition group because I got more to say, but it's only for people in there. After what I shared the other day in there, I've got to finish the story sort of thing. I've had more revelations about it. Yeah, you're so welcome, guys. By the way, Trust Intuition is open, of course. But I was guided. I kept getting the intuitive nudge to offer a 6-month early bird payment plan instead of just the 3 and the pay in full. So I was getting that nudge, and then a couple of people messaged me asking me. I'm like, okay, I'm hearing. So I've added a 6-month payment plan for the super early bird. Plus I've extended it for another 24 hours. So if you really want to jump in on that, we've got another 24 hours to get in on top of that as well. So yeah, 6-month payment plan is now open. So if you really want to trust your intuition and not get influenced by things on the media, and people are like, how do you find your life purpose? I'm like, trust your intuition. Do people trust their intuition? Sometimes, right? It's kind of all the time. We trust our intuition and we keep moving forward, because what your purpose here to do usually isn't on the planet yet, right? And there's all these kind of kickbacks and knockbacks and all of that comes along with trusting your intuition. And if you're not listening to your own intuition, it's going to be a bit tricky to be able to birth out what you're here to do that's going to shift our planet and help humanity in a big way, right? Of course, everybody's got a purpose, and that could be just doing the internal work for yourself and your immediate family for the rest of your life. And if you do that, you are going to shift the planet, because every single action that we take, every part of healing that we take affects every single person that we've ever come in contact to on our entire planet, right, in our entire lifetime. Every single person feels that. So the more of us that are doing the internal work, not, yes, meditating and praying and sorting out the Amazon, yes, that's great, but what about next week, guys? What about next week? Are you actually going to clean out the raging fires that are burning within your gut, that are trying, all the inflammation? How much is IBS a massive problem on the world? What is it? The irritable bowel syndrome, overweight and fatigue is streaming through the fucking planet. It's guys, are we gonna clean that up? How many empaths say that they're exhausted all the time? Come on, guys. We have a divine responsibility to turn up and do the work. Are we going to look at the raging fires within our gut? That IBS, that inflammation of the gut, is a raging fire of emotion. Are you going to deal with it yet? Yes, it's important. Let's meditate. How about we actually meditate on the deep stuff and actually clear it out for good, right? And then the world will shift, okay? Oh, I could talk about this for ages. All right. So if you think this live stream can help somebody, please share it with them, or you can comment their name in the comments, or you can share it in a private message with them. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Please remember that Trust Intuition now has a 6-month super early bird payment plan. The price will be going up so I got extended it another 24 hours as well. So the link is in the comments. You'll also see me posting about it. And remember, yes, watch the replay for sure, guys. There's a lot here and the fires have fired me up for a reason. I love you. Bye. Namaste.